Thank you, dear friends. How wonderful to be with you. My name is Badri, as she said, and we're coming to you here from Ananda Village in California. And what a joy it is to be here with you. Just briefly about myself, just sent a nice little bio if you didn't get a chance to preview us on the website. Um, Gita and my wife, lived here for the better part of the last decade at Ananda Village, and I've been serving in different roles around the community in recent years, but my focus is primarily in community management now and a bit in teaching and various roles. We have two young children here, Tulsi and Jay, who are off on a walk through the woods this morning with their grandfather. And what else can I say? It's been an exciting time, and we're just adapting to the many changes and opportunities here at the village. And I'll let Gita share a few words about herself.
Yeah, thank you. Well, only to add that we have been here together for about a decade. I was born here at Ananda Village, though, and just thought to share that. So I had the amazing blessing of growing up here at Ananda Village in the 80s and 90s, and I left for college and graduate school and some career time, and then came back, and it just adds to the gratitude of having the opportunity to be here and to raise our family here together. I work independently as a consultant for nonprofits at this point, and I'm embarking on a new journey of natural horsemanship and bringing the teachings of yoga and Yogananda into the work of the horse world. So it's an exciting new time for me exploring that. So I'm going to turn it back to Badri, and we'll share a little bit of inspiration.
I'm going to ask if you can speak a little bit more loudly, just a little bit, would be great.
And also bring this closer.
There you go. Thank you.
And maybe turn their audio up.
Yeah, I did. So that's perfect, whatever you just did.
Okay. Well, again, just the main thing we want to reiterate is it's just such a joy to be with you all and to share with you. I applaud you all for dialing in this Zoom business, and we've all had so many Zoom meetings and Zoom meditations and various opportunities, and it's wonderful to just be able to share inspiration and stay connected. People have been resistant to technology and things over the years, but it's Dwapara Yuga. It's a new age of energy, and we have to just say, we're united in our hearts, and we have to find creative ways to stay connected. So it's so lovely across state lines and time zones, just to feel our heartbeats as one in meditation together and in our mutual service and love and dedication and living for God. Just a few words to share with you before I go too far astray in our little allotment of time here. I know the reading for this week the topic is ego, friend or foe. And again, I don't want to go into any real depth or detail there, except of course to say that this really does form in many ways the entire crux of the spiritual path. And I know that we've got many seasoned devotees and disciples of Yogananda here, but as so often is with the paradoxical nature and questions on the spiritual path, the answer is right there in the question, right? Ego is both our friend and our foe. And of course, there ultimately does come a point in this divine drama that God has created where we do have to transcend the ego. We have to kill, or submerge the ego in the infinite in order to find the ultimate self-realization and enlightenment that each of us are seeking. And yet there it is. The ego is our friend. It's us in many ways. We are not the personality or the body, certainly, but it is a means for us to function in this world, to serve one another, to grow and to, practice our spiritual lives. And of course, in the backdrop of the world today, we're just riddled with so much unrest. And and I won't drill down there either, except to say, wow, what an interesting time of chaos and just unraveling of the many problems and issues that are latent in the world today. And for us spiritually, obviously, it's a time of tremendous opportunity. I was sitting right here in our meditation space, just remembering 6 months ago as this all began to unravel, and just saying to, Yogananda ji, our guru, wow, what an adventure. Thank you. This is your gift to us with all of its challenging circumstances and all of its suffering, all of it. And here we are, deep into it with long time to come. And I truly am an optimist, but I do believe it will get much worse in many ways before it gets better with economics and politics and on, the civil unrest. But here as devotees, we have this tremendous opportunity every day to seek the light, to share the light, to live the teachings we've been given. And it is for sure an incentive, a motivation to go deeper. It's also a karmic period, just like that friend or foe. It kind of walks the razor's edge, and you can see in our friends, perhaps, in our relationships, certainly in the news, which I don't recommend overindulging in, but that it's an extremely karmic time. There's no karma right now that is safe from the foundational shakings that are happening in the world today. And so we can be protected from that in the light of God and the masters, but we also need to be vulnerable, to put ourselves out there as devotees and say, I'm here to serve. This is my time. This is an opportunity for me to go deeper and to dive deeper. I've been praying recently to Babaji, of course, the sort of patriarch, spiritual guru at the pinnacle of our lineage of masters. He's not a man or a woman or a person. He's a divine being who still lives today, as is described incredibly in Autobiography of a Yogi. And I don't know why it took me all this time, but I realized recently, this is Babaji's time. What's happening in the world today, shifts of this nature, it says in the autobiography, he's responsible with the spirit of Jesus Christ for the evolution and spiritual care of our planet. And that's what we're seeing in the world today. And it is a challenging time, and it's not to be dismissive of all the, suffering and extreme difficulty we're facing. But Babaji and the masters have it in their care, and we can still feel the joy of the masters and the service and the blessings that can be rendered, and we can be channels for it this time. And in many ways, it's greater than ever. The great philosopher and scientist William James was once asked at a lecture. He was lecturing on astronomy and some of the new revelations about Earth and the sun and our solar system. And an old woman at one of his lectures asked him, Sir James, what is it that actually holds up the Earth? How could we just be floating in space? This is a time where his strides in astronomy are made. And he explained about the centripetal nature of the sun and its gravitational force and floating in Earth. And she said, that's nonsense, sir. She said, I know that it's simply a large turtle that holds up the Earth and on its back, on its shell. And he said, that's preposterous, my lady. What could be under the turtle, and this cosmic turtle? And she said, it's another turtle, sir. And he said, well, what's under that one? And she said, you can't fool me, Mr. James. It's turtles all the way down. So is the nature of, certain lines of thinking and limited reason. But, what is it that really holds up the Earth and all of space and existence? It's consciousness. It's the divine will of God and the masters that holds us in their care, and certainly the forces of their creation. But make no mistake that Babaji is absolutely cradling this planet and all of us in their hands. And not only is it a cosmic plan and divine light, it's practical, it's simple. A disciple of Yogananda, I was reviewing this story recently where he was a plumber by trade, and he was working on a pump at Mount Washington, where Yogananda was in residence, and he couldn't get this pump to work. It was part of the landscaping and a fountain he was trying to run there. And try as he might tinkering, he couldn't get this thing to work. And he remembered, I can pray to Babaji about this. There's that extraordinary quote, also an autobiography, that says, anyone who utters the words, the name of Babaji with reverence attracts an instant spiritual blessing. I mean, what a promise, what a decree. And how many of us have truly exercised that? And so here was the plumber just saying, I can call on Babaji. And sure enough, the pump ran by the grace of God. And he recalled later, this man, Charles, he said that the pump wasn't even primed. There was no possible way it could have worked practically. But that's the grace of the masters, certainly, that anything is possible, and that even the most mundane, opportunities, practical applications are there for us to call on them for their help. And just one more, obviously Yogananda's mission here is for us to find God, it's self-realization, it's service to others, and it's Kriya Yoga. But he also brought us cooperative communities, right? The World Brotherhood colonies. And even now, as we speak to you here from, one of the earliest communities in Ananda Village that his great disciple Swami Kriyananda created for us, there you are in Texas, and here we all over the world, and in many ways more than ever, are connected through this spirit of community, not just to be, sustainable or to have nice homes together, but to live for God in a way that is supportive and that uplifts the consciousness of those of us participating and those around us and in the world at large. Just as you so beautifully, close this little meditation, it's the reality that we're encircling the globe with light through our lives, simple as they may be as devotees. Our mission is that cosmic mission of Yogananda, of Babaji, of God, to spread divine light through the world. And so again, I just come back to the joy that it brings for us to connect with you all and to feel that that we are one, in our service and our devotion to God. And that perhaps is the most important thing, the secret on the spiritual path is just that devotion and gratitude of the heart offered to God and shared with brothers and sisters far and wide and close and near. So bless you all, and I'll open it up to Gita here for a few words.
Thank you. I want to pick it up. That was really inspirational. I want to pick it up a little bit with the day-to-day on the ego plane and the realities that we're all dealing with in our isolation, in global unrest, all of that. I just think that this topic of the ego is just at the fore. I can't think of a single person right now who isn't having to assess some aspect of themselves that they thought defined them and make major shifts in how we function in the world. And I just, I addressed the ego. The ego is the soul attached to the body, right? We know this from our path and our teachings, and we actually can't be functioning on this planet without it. And we would, Yogananda talks about how his challenges, especially at the end of his life, of remembering which body to animate because he was so detached. His ego was the veil was so thin, of course, and he had full mastery of it, so he could make it disappear at any moment. But he needed it in order to animate the body of this incarnation, and we aren't yet at that point. And so for us, picking it up from this ego is, it's the light. In astrology, we associate the ego with the moon, which is really just reflecting the light of the sun. So the ego is reflecting the light of our soul onto the planet through the imperfection of all the interference of the atmosphere. And so every aspect of what we consider our personality, every aspect of that which ties us to this body, this form, this life, is in its deeper nature, higher nature, a reflection of the light of our soul, but it's come maybe a little askew. And so what we're called to do on this path is to constantly, when we find some place of attachment or some self-identification, to notice and then to give it back to its source, into God, into our higher self. And in doing that, we honor and acknowledge that that's where it's coming from, but it's gotten, it's gotten a little askew, and by giving it back to God, it can eventually transform into the higher octave, into the soul quality from which it actually derives. And so, I take great comfort in this, because for me, we've got to kill the ego is a little, there are it's a little aggressive for me, but it's there too. That's a true teaching. But the understanding that in doing so, what we're really doing is giving it back to God and letting it express as its purest, highest soul nature. Nothing is lost. That is another thing that, is taught in the Bhagavad Gita, is taught by our masters. Nothing is lost. It's transformed. And so, moving through this time, through COVID, through social unrest, through these incredible challenges of polarity that we're seeing, if we pick it up from the place of, these are, I have an attachment to hugging you and I can't. I have an attachment to traveling and I no longer can. I feel pain and empathy for what other people are going through. If we can look at each of those experiences and give them to God, as soon as we can think to do that, then they start to come through us from their highest octave, from the highest potential that they can be, from that place of divine empathy. Divine Mother has infinite patience, infinite love. And I for one, I get very interested in politics, in social justice, in issues that can be very inflammatory for ourselves as we associate with, I'm not this way, I'm this way, I've got to be right, all these things. And it's not that those issues aren't real, but how can we bring them to their highest octave? And then how can we remember that even when those people disagree, and even when our basic human understanding of truth is being denied by somebody, how can we move that into its highest octave and maintain love while maintaining a truth? And really, my personal experience in this and way of moving through it is to just continuously give it to God, not even with the idea that it doesn't matter, it's all, it's all illusion, which is one aspect of truth, but it's the divine play. It's all of our soul natures moving through the moon of our ego into planet Earth. And so there is reality there, and we can bring light into it if we can see it for what it is, give it to God with our whole hearts, and then find the higher octave of how we can express it, just continuously refining it. And I think now is the best time we've ever had to practice that. And it's really hard. I have had moments of deep frustration, and then other moments of deep peace, not by bypassing what's happening, but by blessing what's happening and honoring what's happening and helping to be a steward for what's happening so that we can help this planet. We all, for whatever reason, incarnated in the transition to Dwapara Yuga And these transitions, we're told, from one yuga to the next are always fraught with difficulty, as some old way of thinking and behaving is dying and some new way is trying to be born. And it's very much in our face right now, as it hasn't been quite this way. So, you know, as Badri sort of, you know, addressed too, there's a way to pick up this time for personal transformation. And that personal transformation has ripple effect everywhere, to the people in our lives, to the consciousness of the planet. And we've been given this divine gift of this teaching, this path, Kriya Yoga. Yogananda said, you know, self-realization will be the religion of Dwapara Yuga. And we've got about 2,000 years more of Dwapara Yuga. So there's a long time for this. And what does that even mean? I mean, really, to me, it's the underpinnings of what our understanding is becoming about what is the ego and what is, you know, truth, and what is this unity, this true, you know, consciousness connecting all beings. And so we get to be stewards, early stewards of bringing this light forward. And to do that, we just have to find it in ourselves and continually use these practices and tools to be alchemy, to transform us into our highest octave, letting that ego be a friend by offering every aspect of it to God along the way, and not, you know, not turning it into our foe, where we either allow it to run our lives unconsciously, or we get really mad about it and we're unable to do anything. We're just stuck. So I hope that for all of us, we get to take on this challenge of this global reality and this individual reality, to really find the friend in our ego by giving it to God continuously, and trying to be that higher version of ourselves as we walk through this world that really needs us to do this work very, very badly.
Now do we get to visit a bit? See you all?
Yeah, we get to visit. People open cameras if you like. You know, we have people on who are teachers. We have some who are retired. We have some who are sheltering in a lot. We have others who have to be out there more. You know, we're in this big city. We have some people on the road. There's Mark, and Mayatri must be driving. So we have devotees of so many, as is normal. We devotees have our personalities, we have our responsibilities, and I'd love for you at some point, and I'm watching for questions, to just expand a little bit on what you said about yes, we're on this path consciously of self-realization. We've chosen it. We're doing the best we can in very different times, but to see it as a gift, to continue meditating, and I'll just toss in to catch little meditation moments, especially if we're at home, sheltering in, and also the responsibility, not only to our own self and soul, but I see it as a responsibility to the world, because Master has told us how much we are, can affect in a good way the entire planet. So I don't know if you want to add a few more words about that. A good responsibility, not a pressure,
Yes.
Not one more thing, pressure.
Yes. Well, thank you, Supriya. And yeah, please, if anyone has questions or just want to comment or jump in, we'd love to hear from you. I mean, I think you've said it. I think you all are doing it as teachers, as frontline, as sheltering. You know, we have our own versions of that here, certainly at Ananda Village. You know, the karma and the circumstances have dictated that we are quite sheltered as a community. and it's appropriate that we are. But even still, you know, there are some 220 odd people at Ananda, and there are as many ways of dealing with this pandemic and everything going on. And so we honor the individual nature, as Gita was saying, you know, the light of the moon, the ego of each person going through this experience. What is the individual karma? What do the circumstances dictate? You know, young or old or frontline or sheltered, those are just, you know, little blips on the personality screen of the ego, of the soul attached to the body. We are all discharging and fulfilling the responsibilities, as you say, of what Divine Mother is asking of us. And so there really is no difference. And it can be a struggle. It's not a dismissive, you know, statement to say we're all one and it doesn't matter. But we really are sharing the light through everything we do, every moment of meditation and every moment of service and courage that we bring to these circumstances. There's this saying, as Gita was talking about the moon and astrology, I don't know the origins of it, but simply that I think Yogananda and certainly Kriyananda quoted, one moon gives more light than all the stars. You know, the power of the ego, really, of the soul to shine through it. It spreads tremendous light, and we're often not even very aware of it, you know, through our healing prayers, for example. The tremendous power that is in those. I just very briefly, I'll share with you, I was doing healing prayers recently for my my mother's husband, and he's ill with cancer. He's doing quite well, but he's going through a challenging phase in his life, and I just been praying for him like we're praying for so many people. I have a list, you know, where I do sadhana, and I just update it and comb through it, and I've been praying for him. And my mom went to see a psychic. She and I wasn't thinking that much of it. I do my healing prayers like we all do, with, you know, Yogananda's words and all the feeling that I can and intention that I can. This psychic, my mom told me, the angel lady, who she referred to her as, she said, the angel lady told me, you know, about my husband, Mike. She said, you don't have to worry about Michael. She said, your son, referring to me rather than my brother, she said, the happy-go-lucky son, she said, she doesn't know me. She said, he's wrapping Michael in threads of golden and silver light. And my mom was brought to tears, and she shared this with me, and I was nearly brought to tears, because where does that light come from? You know, how could I generate that light? The power of God flowing through us in something as simple as our daily healing prayers and sadhana is tremendous. And so let's not by any means underestimate the power of whatever it is we're doing in our spiritual lives, in our day-to-day life, to affect great change and blessings on this world. And yeah, we applaud and commend and send our love to all of you in all the many ways that you are living your spiritual life. And many of you we know, and it's fun to see your names or faces. Some of you we don't, but nonetheless, we're definitely connected in that spirit.
Yeah.
Hi, Gita and Badri. Hello. I'm so nice to see you. Beautiful words, beautiful, heartfelt. And I was thinking that, like you said, Badri, that we can build our inner divine transformer and help our loved ones. So we can transform up to a degree, and then we have Guru that can be our transformer to go further up. But we're building something, we're building an inner divine transformer as well, and that I think you saw expressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you. And the Guru's grace is there absolutely to amplify our efforts and help us in that journey. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just want to add to that, Mike, that, you know, this path, Yogananda brought so many techniques. There are our meditation, you know, classic Hang Sa, Kriya Yoga, but there's also lots of pranayams that can help us. There's our asana, our physical Ananda yoga. There's affirmations. And so as we're going through these experiences, you know, if we're isolated because we're needing to do that, then there can be, like, actually both sides, there can be real significant challenges to psychological challenges and physical challenges. And that's where we tune in, we can pull from our tradition so many techniques, you know, energization exercises. Many of our friends have been doing 3 times a day or 6 times a day, because at their essence, they're teaching us to control and move energy. And that is the crux of Dwapara Yuga. I was just listening to a talk by Swami Kriyananda in his Treasure series about probably the greatest unique contribution to the spiritual work of planet Earth that Yogananda brought is the energization technique, energization exercises, which was like, what? And he said, because, you know, so much of our path is universal truth that's been brought down from other ages as well. And, you know, there's a lot of ancient wisdom in there, but the new piece for this age is about energy. So he was talking about energization exercises and the teachings on magnetism as just the unique thing for this age. So, you know, there's a deep thought I hadn't considered. You know, you're stuck at home and your energy's low, try doing a few of the energization exercises and see if you can lift your energy. You're on the front line and you're exhausted and you're worried about getting sick, add some rounds into your day. Who knows? You know, maybe you'll find some benefit. But that's just to add that our path has a ton of techniques, very useful things, that if we integrate those into our life to address different challenges that are coming up. The peace and harmony prayer. If you have a friend who is expressing an ideology that is triggering you, try the peace and harmony prayer. If you don't know it, Supriya, Mike, you guys might know it, come for it. It can be transformational to work through to that place of Divine Mother's love, higher octave of your ego kind of stuff.
Thank you, Gita. Thank you, Badri.
You know, that's beautiful. And I just want to toss in, because you've just said about the energization exercises. I can't imagine 6 times a day. But anyway, 2 times is a celebration for me. 1 time is thank you, Master. But, you know, we have, because I want everybody to know this, and they're probably tired of hearing it, but I'm going to say it again. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Mayatri leads the energization exercises at 5:15. So those of you who are a little bit newer, maybe don't know them yet, jump online, you know, and then there is Ananda Yoga after, but you can come on for those 15 minutes, 5:15 Tuesday, Thursday. And then we have 5 different times during the week where we have group meditations, some 30 minutes, some 60 minutes. So, you know, how blessed are we who have to lead it? We don't have to lead it. We are choosing and blessed. So, you know, get on the, I hate to say get on the computer. They know how much I am not technical and how much I resisted these lovely devices, but now I am so grateful for them. Join with our Guru Bhais, okay? And then there's the energization app, which I don't even know about that, but thank God I know them by heart. So
good for you all.
Well, after 27 years, if you don't know them, it's pretty sad. So use the app. Use these great energy devices that we have now. I'll be quiet now. I feel like that was a promo.
Appropriate.
A truth promo. It's all right.
Anyone else out there? We're happy to wind down. It's what a treat to see you all and be connected this way. Thank you.
I'll jump in. Hi, guys. Nice to see you. I enjoyed your conversations with Asha.
Oh, thank you.
I had a great experience with just a real quick story about when I was, I'm a teacher, but I'm not in class yet. I'm doing a lot of testing kids online. And I had kind of an experience where I had to call in Divine Mother, and she was very helpful. It's kind of it makes me a little emotional, but anyway, I was just having a technical difficulty, and I just said, Divine Mother, help. I just said that mentally, and it was instantaneous. So it was great. So anyway, calling in on the Masters and Divine Mother is a great tool.
Beautiful.
But so anyway, but Gita, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your work with horses and all that. I'd love to hear more about that.
Sure. It's very new, Kim. I grew up here at Ananda. We had horses when I was a child, and so had lots of amazing experiences. And during this pandemic, something sort of shifted for me, and horses came back. And I met a trainer who does something called Equine Accelerated Learning, which is essentially, horses are mirror. They have these mirror neurons built into them because they're herd animals, where they respond immediately to the energy of another, of the herd. And so they're an incredible mirror. And there's a whole body of work now where people use that mirror capability of the horse to help in their own sort of understanding of themselves. And so there are exercises where you can, learn to can't manage your energy by seeing the response of the horse. You can learn to lead. You can try, simple things. I'm leading a horse. How is the horse responding? Are they up with me? Are they behind me? Are they in front of me? Are they resistant? And when you learn this, you learn how to read what's happening energetically. And then the idea that I'm working on with my trainer is then how do we take the tools of our path, shift our energy, and see it manifest in a totally different response from the horse, so that you can have an embodied experience with that feedback and really feel what it's like to lead with intention, or to project your energy, or to withdraw your energy. Because once you know how to read it from the horse, you actually can express that to others, and then they get to see. It's like proof, which can be very deep for somebody learning to manage their own energy and work with their energy. So right now I'm working with this trainer, learning all these exercises, and then learning how to take our teachings and experimenting. What happens when I try this or I try that? The ultimate goal being that, we'll be able to have retreats here with the Expanding Light, where people could come on their retreats and have these experiences with horses. So we have a herd. I have a herd of 4, but there's actually 7 horses here at Ananda Village now. And yeah, it's just, with COVID, this isn't going to happen right away. But right now is a time of learning and experimenting and, discovery. And so I'm sure, it's all part of the plan. When I'm ready to be teaching in this way, I think we'll be ready to have guests come. So it's probably just perfectly timed, but it's very, I'm blown away. And I've been, I grew up here. I've been doing energization exercises were my, 7th grade PE exam. Like, this is so deeply a part of my persona. And yet having the reflection of the horse is bringing it to a new level for me.
Give us a concrete example. Sorry, Gita, to interrupt you, but give us like a concrete example of what you're talking about. I understand it in theory, but I like,
yeah.
Tell us a story about something that happened so I can kind of get a good visual of what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay, so one thing that happened just the other day, I was out in the pasture with my trainer, and we were doing photographs for our website. And we were both standing on either with a horse in the middle of us, in between us. And we both had our hands sort of out to the horse. And we were, you know, projecting some energy to the horse and to each other in the process, like a little herd of three. And right away, the horse started to back up out from between us. And we moved, and then he did it again, and we moved, and he did it again. And then my trainer looked at me and he said, "Do you know what's happening, right?" I said, "No." He said, "You're not giving enough space for the horse's energy. You're blasting through him, and he's moving away. You need to hold space for him to have energy in the middle. Like, you need to not push him away with your energy." And so then I tried to sort of draw my energy back a little bit and then honor his space. And we moved, and he stood totally still. And then two other horses joined, showing me that, like, you know, draw it in. You're taking up too much room, you know? So it was like a really informative moment. Another one is my first horse. She withdraws into herself and sort of shuts down and is not that responsive. And what I have realized is she's reflecting an aspect of my ego personality in this life, which is a self-protection. Is I'm very sensitive, all this information, all this energy is coming in, I'm gonna withdraw. And that's what she's doing. So the more I can learn to be present with her as we interact, the more she feels safe to come out. It's like, you know, you learn all kinds of things about yourself. And then you get to see if you're actually making change, the horse changes their behavior. It's fascinating.
I think that's going to be an amazing retreat. I look forward to seeing it pro mode when the expanding light is ready to open up. And, you know, we know horses already, they know how healing they can be for special needs children and other, you know, venues of that nature. So now this is another aspect of developing this great creature, because they're amazing creatures. I don't have to tell you, you know them a lot better than I. But that'll be fun to watch. I used to go watch Rose go riding when I'd come there for months, and I'd get to take her from the meditation retreat to go for her horse lessons with, you know her, I know her.
Anne Bernick?
Who? Yes, with Anne. And just watch these young children at Ananda. And sitting up straight on that saddle, it was like, whoa, look at that meditation spine, right? When you sit on a horse, because that's the best way rather than the crunch spine. Anyway.
So speaking of children from Ananda, I see a great question here from Mark. We'd love to keep chatting. Do you guys have time constraints? I mean, people can certainly come and go, but we could speak to you all day if you like.
Well, look out. We've been known to stay on for quite a while.
All right. Well, the other thing about kids is at some point they may actually show up. But
if they do, we would love to see your children and that interaction, and that'll be it's time to go.
Right.
Okay.
Well, fair enough. Well, at least briefly to address this great question Mark's asking, you know, how are we dealing with children during this pandemic and during this time, and how challenging it is for families right now? How is that reflected in the kids? You know, it is a really challenging time, and I don't want to overstate it, but in many ways it hasn't been, frankly, for our kids. I mean, there definitely have been adjustments and challenges associated with it, but being, you know, where we are at Ananda Village in a rural environment, in a very contained community, being that the kids are younger, they're about 5 and 7 years old, so they're not, you know, teenagers quite yet trying to get out there. Life has continued. I mean, more or less as normal. As I say, there have been adjustments with respect to travel and school and things, but our kids live in the woods. We try to, Tulsi's learning to read and write, and we're challenging them mentally and academically, but the woods are their teacher. And, we're here to facilitate an experience of nature and of God for them and encourage them. So we continue to just play our games and grow and be outside and learn from one another and from nature. And so in many ways, they've been, I would even say, thriving in this difficult time. That's not a universal experience by any means. And talk about sympathy, and empathy. We have tremendous compassion and can only really begin to imagine some of the challenges out there for children in the world at large and the opportunities that it presents. As we've been saying, on some level, this was the karma, and it's not, fun to just write things off to karma, but of these children to say, I will incarnate at a time when the world will be in turmoil, and I will face these challenges, and it will be a formative experience for them for sure. In many ways, both bad and good. But yeah, I would say that, this is an opportunity for all of us, again, just to say, how can we come together? The children, we know, represent the future of this planet. And how can we invest in the kids, in, nature, in such a way as to benefit us going forward? It's a tremendous challenge and a tremendous opportunity, both. Again, those same two sides of the coin, that razor's edge, but there's no question that this time represents a going back to our core values of family, of caring for one another, of nurturing the child, and giving back to nature at a time when it needs it most. And so there is no simple solution to that, but certainly our teachings, the Education for Life teachings that Yogananda, inspired through Kriyananda, and all of our spiritual path represents that holistic going back to, let's find creative solutions to help these children, to help Mother Nature. She's crying out, there's so much suffering right now. How can we, find the way forward with the kids with respect to all the challenges that we're facing? So our hearts are very much in that one.
I want to jump in briefly there too, because I'm on the board of our school here, the Ananda School, and, just helping to steward that process forward. And Kim's a teacher, and so, what teachers are going through, and what, and thereby what children are going through is so intense right now. I know when the school closed in March, there was a period of grieving where, our kids were grieving. Tulsi, our older daughter, particularly, because it was her first grade year. There were things she was looking forward to. They were prepping for a play that never happened. And so, as a parent, there was a lot of just, holding space for the grief and having it ourselves, and then also always counting our blessings. And we have that conversation pretty regularly, which is, yeah, it's so hard. We can't go to Legoland for your 5th birthday, Jay. It's not open. It's not, it's not the time, it's not safe, but we get to do this, or we can do that. And I'm so grateful for this time together, and especially for our 7-year-old, she really tunes into that, because I was furloughed in April. And so we went from 2 full-time job people to I'm home with the kids. And we just talked a lot regularly about this gratitude of having time together. And, when things come up that we were sad about, not to sweep them under the rug. Yeah, that's so hard. I hold space for that. And then when they're ready, say, I'm so glad to have this time with you, though. I'm really grateful for that. And we just work our way through that all along. And I think we saw it reflected a lot in the beginning in our kids, the stress, our stress, the community stress, the world stress. But we are in the woods, and the woods heal us. And so as time has passed and we've all adjusted, there's a lot, the stress isn't really present for us any longer. And it's been a lot more of opportunity. Actually, with horses too, our daughter is so into it. And so that's been really healing. To have this whole new branch, this whole new outlet that is with Mother Nature.
And Jay and I built a concrete patio together, our 5-year-old son. And, you know, we just seize the opportunities that befall us and just practice the gratitude that Gita's talking about. There's so many blessings to count. And so we put our focus there, and we honor the other things as well, and try to process those appropriately. But so many blessings and so much gratitude to cultivate for everything we have.
We're also, our high school went online. So we've started a course that I'm helping co-teach with about 15 other people called Empowered Heart. And so for the high school age, it's the intellect years. They're really getting into understanding, and the world is going through a lot. So we're basing this course on the yoga principles combined with humanistic sort of ideology, addressing things like empathy, altruism, globalism, social justice, and bringing it up for, like, creating a space where we can learn how to approach all these climate change, approach all these major global issues as a young teenager from the highest octave that we can, and be empowered to do something, to pick up that responsibility, as Supriya was saying, responsibility, but without the being crushed under the weight of what's happening. And so, you know, giving teenagers tools to understand what's happening, and then to do their part from their highest, strongest personal place. So anyway, I'm really excited for this course, and for that age group, it seems really, really relevant.
You know, applying that to here to this community real quick, you know, we've been through our grieving process, not only of the pandemic, but closing the center in end of June and things of that nature. And, you know, finding the gratitude, and thank God we have these teachings that we can, and we have the support of each other online, but we also have the support of Ananda Village. You know, we tune into many things at the village, some things in India. Kirti was on earlier from India. She's had to go. But, you know, find the gratitude and the greatness of these times.
Yeah.
You know, we choose.
Yeah. And as Master said, it's all God serving God. You know, you just feel a mutual benefit and blessing through the giving and receiving of this whole show.
Yeah. You know, and along that same line, if you don't mind, and if you need to go, let us know. But but if your children arrive, we want to see them, because I know I haven't seen them since.
You got it.
Yeah. Anyway, a devotee did ask, said, I would love to hear briefly from Sam and Pam. So they are down in more south from you all, California, and they also were going through the process that we've been through of closing the center. Can you give us a little update? Because last Sunday it was pretty hard. Where
Yeah,
you
let's
guys
hear it. Great to see you all.
So Pam and Sam.
There we are unmuted.
Hi.
Hi, y'all.
Well, most of our people are able to get back into their homes because of the fires, but not everyone yet. So that existential issue is coming around to an ending, we hope. We are partway pulling out of our center because we had two halves. We had a yoga studio attached to our temple, and we are now completely out of the yoga studio, no longer needing to pay rent on that side, and we have till the end of September to figure out how the heck we're going to get all our stuff out of the temple side. And you know, as you've been through, of course, it was sorting through things. What shall we keep? And no one has a perfect crystal ball as far as what it's going to look like in the future. So what will we need when we want to start up again? What should we be saving up for instead? Do we keep the Christmas tree or not? And what's going to happen to the altar pieces? And, you know, all of those things. Today, Well, again, because of COVID, we've had some real challenges. Many of us don't feel safe to meet back at the temple for Sunday services, although there have been those who have done that. One Sunday we all met under a tree in a park. Today we are having a discipleship ceremony, and many of us will give it to Divine Mother that we're going to go there and be there for our newest devotee person, Billy. And which may or may not end up being our final ceremony at service at Ananda Scotts Valley. And then we are transitioning as well because we're losing Eudistera, so we don't have, at this moment, we don't officially have a minister either. But Satya has moved in the area. We have Nirmaha nearby, and we're going to see how Divine Mother has inspired them to support us. But Nirmaha and Rosalva have definite physical not liabilities, that's not, susceptibilities or whatever to the COVID. So there's really hardly our actual physical getting together in anytime soon is not going to be. Everything's on Zoom, as we all are trying to become used to. So we're having a meeting this evening, like a reformation, rebirth, whatever we're considering. As we've spoken before, Supriya, that we're thinking of changing our name from Ananda Scotts Valley to Ananda Monterey Bay, because it's more inclusive of this particular area. Sam and I don't live in Scotts Valley. We're 20 miles south of Scotts Valley. Other people live in Santa Cruz, 20 or 30 miles. And it takes us 45 minutes to get there. So, and also, like Nirmaha is in La Selva Beach. So Ananda Monterey Bay just seems more Dwapara, more inclusive of more people and more potential. So that's one possibility of things we're thinking about. We're just trying to figure out all the details now. We're in the part that I'm not comfortable with, all the business decisions about forming a new board and having to review all the legalities of maintaining our nonprofit status. Do we want to be a teaching center? Do we want to be a meditation group? What is, which one? How much is entailed and all? I mean, it's like, this isn't the part I want to think about. Wow. But it has to be. And so fortunately, Divine Mother has brought, hopefully, many of us, relatively many. Our number seems to be 13. It seems like over the years, whenever we did anything, there were always 13 people who showed up, which I believe is a sacred number. It's a divine, sacred, feminine number. So I'm hoping we have 13 people there tonight, at least. We're just going forward with what we can do, but there's a definite spirit that, yes, we are a community. We want to continue on, and once we get our act together, then we'll be working with Pranaba and other people at the village to help us through all the technical business stuff. Right. We're also going to get a new website. Mirabai is going to help us with ours as well as, and hopefully make it as beautiful as Ananda Dallas is. So we've got stuff moving,
And it's been, and to be honest, when we were in a renewal week this past winter, and we spent a lot of time with Mayatri, and we got to know her, and then through her and Ananda Dallas, through our kirtans on Friday afternoons in California, Friday evenings in Dallas, we have been learning and gleaning information from our friends at Ananda Dallas, hopefully someday Ananda, Texas, to help us along the way. They're kind of the trailblazers. They have been leading us and helping us tremendously through all of this effort. It's. Can
you hear us?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
The little computer's telling us that
we have an external speaker on our thing, and our computer says you're not hooked up to a speaker, so it flashes this warning.
All right.
But we can actually hear very, very well.
We have hearing aids now.
But it's been a really interesting time, and we are so grateful for our friends at Ananda Dallas, Supriya and Mayatri and Mark, and everybody there.
Oh, everyone.
Everybody there who's been praying for us and helping us, especially during the fire season, the fires that have been burning crazy around us.
Yeah.
And today and this weekend, I'm probably up at the village. You're getting a heat wave right now. Yeah, we are not blessed with air conditioning here. So when the temperature gets to be 110, we get in the car and go for a ride because that's our only air conditioner.
We used to go to the movies, but we can't do that anymore. So like, oh, Divine Mother, we moved here because it doesn't get hot. It used to be. That's changing.
And all of the beaches in Santa Cruz and Monterey County are closed, so you can't even go to the water. So
we drive around in a car. We haven't done that yet, but
let us know they're going to probably shut off our power because of the fire danger and the heat wave. On top of that,
yeah.
we won't have AC either if it makes you feel any better.
No.
How many ways can I test you guys to see, what you're made of? And we just show up time and again and say, we can do this together. But it's really inspiring. I mean, I know it's hard, but it's touching to hear from you guys because you're going through it like we all are in some special ways, but so many familiar challenges and again, just opportunities. Divine Mother is just really asking us all to step it up. And isn't it beautiful, as you're saying it, the trailblazers are helping you, that we can help one another in ways small and large through this and just find the ways forward. It's really touching. Thank you, guys.
You guys today have been so inspiring and helpful to me personally because it's some days are up and some are way down. So to see your young smiling faces with so much inspiration, and oh my gosh, Gita, I look so forward. I hope at some point. I've loved horses dearly my whole life, but I was raised in the city, so I never really got a chance to spend a lot of time around them. But go to Kittyland once in a while and get to ride them in those little stupid circles. But I did get to look. I rode in Germany. I was living in Germany for a while and learned dressage. So I mean, I do love horses. But to get to be up there maybe with you at some point in the future, and just be near them and watch how you work and maybe participate in something like that would be gives me something really wonderful to look forward to. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I want to say to Ananda Scotts Valley, you start calling your group and your community anything you want.
Yeah.
Legally, I mean, we're saying Ananda, Texas. We haven't done any legal name changes. We don't know if it'll happen. There are many reasons behind the screen, but it's like, so,
Right?
so we're saying Ananda, Texas, of course, and then we have California online, and then we have Colorado come in, and we have Minnesota. For our kirtans, we have all these states. Well, we're going to be Ananda, Texas. We are, meaning in our minds, because it's expanding, and then it's going to go in whatever other states it wants to. So don't worry about the legal. If that's supposed to happen, it will for you, for us. And if not, it's okay.
Yeah.
One of my greatest mantras is peace awaits me. Peace awaits me in the unknown.
That's really
I'm sorry. I've had to take it for when I need it. It's maybe selfish, but peace awaits me in the unknown, Lord.
Yes.
she's getting silly.
Well, so I heard pizza. I wasn't sure what.
I heard a little pizza too. It's okay.
Thank you.
Just to say it, my parents run the Ananda in Seattle, Washington, and they have for about 25 years. They're the spiritual directors there. And at some point about 5 years ago, they did the same thing. They were like, we're not Ananda Seattle. We have a thing here. We have a thing here. We're doing this. We're Ananda Washington.
They just went
They
for
just
it.
did it. They didn't ask anyone's permission. They just did it. And so they're now Ananda Washington, their website, their emails. They just
Yeah,
made the
and
shift.
it's working with energy. You guys are in an expansive phase despite everything going on, and you're looking for, okay, what's the way forward? What do we call ourselves? How do we structure it? And you have to be willing to just take some liberties and some leaps and say we're following the inspiration and the energy and finding solutions. So great work, you guys. Really.
One thought to add, just to say, because I was listening to a really great fun talk by Asha last night, and she was talking about Swami Kriyananda discussing just sort of geographies and how different cultures have approached spirituality different. And she was talking about America versus India versus parts of Europe. But I think it applies here. You know, it's like, why is there an Ananda, Texas, when you've got, you know, all these other states involved? Or why would we even define by location when we're all digital? But I think if we can pick it up from the string of, what is the way that we approach this spiritual life that might be a little bit of a unique flavor, and that's tied to our region, that deals with, you know, when you're from this area, when you're from Texas, you have certain attitudes, like we could just kind of know that, right? And the Monterey area has a certain approach and a certain energy. And so if we can tune into that and say, well, then this is the expression of Yogananda for this area, because we're meeting people in their community from where they're at, from their vibration. And that might be why there's any geography at all, is because there's realities to that geography that are unique. And so you're expressing Yogananda for that, from that perspective. Anyone can tune in. Yeah. But that's what they're going to get. They're going to get the Monterey flavor. They're going to get the Texan version. You know, it's like, all right, that's kind of fun. Yeah. Oh, Supriya. I saw that. Anyway, that was just a thought.
Well, thanks, guys. It's been absolutely wonderful. Hour with you. It's been filled with joy. It's kind of made our morning much better.
Yeah, it's helped me a lot. Thank you. I've been fighting depression for a couple of days, and this really helps lift me out of much of that. There's a mantra that I picked up. It was funny. I found it in a catalog of all places of some kind of little gifties or whatever. And there was a little sign that I didn't need to buy it because I just wrote down what it said. It said, accept what is, let go of what was, and have faith in what will be. And it's so simple and felt like it came directly from Master. Somehow it was so, it resonates with our teachings. But it's something simple to do to anyone, anywhere, under whatever particular religion or belief system can relate to. And it's been going through my head, giving me almost physical support. So Divine Mother speaks to us and gives us all kinds of gifts all the time. We just have to stay open and listen. My problem currently has been, I've been talking a lot to her. Please this, prayer that, blah, 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 blah. I realize I have to stop and let her talk to me. Like in meditation, there's no meditation. It's all prayer, 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 prayer. So I have to like take a deep breath, give her a chance to talk. However she will, and just, okay, let it go. Thank you for speaking to me from Divine Mother today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and know you got so many prayers coming about the center, but for you guys personally, after you shared last Sunday online, a devotee literally put in the chat, this was someone in Austin, she said, can we hear from Pam and Sam to see how they're doing? So you got lots of people praying for you.
Yeah,
we love you guys.
Yeah, this forms a strong connection for us too, so you can be in our daily prayers and thoughts too. And again, it just strengthens those bonds of Divine Mother's blessings that we can pray for you all and think of you. And the love and support is certainly there from the village as well.